I've been ripping the Summerboard for 1 year now, and in this video I'm gonna tell you guys my thoughts on the Summerboard, what I love, what I hate, what I'd love to see get improved, but also why I think you should snag a Summerboard. So let's jump into the video. Okay, so first things first, the Summerboard works. It legitimately works. You have these 360-degree pivoting wheels, and you're like, how can you spin a 360? How can you just pivot and go 90 degrees and still move? Like, how does this work? And after a year, I still can't fully explain the science behind this thing, but it just works. You literally can ride a toe side edge, then go to a heel side edge, and then power slide, and then do a full 360. You could come into a skate park like I'm in right now and bust out tricks like you could with a skateboard or snowboard. It is wild that this thing actually works. That being said, when you pick up your Summerboard, just know there is a crazy learning curve to it. It's gonna take you 3 full days to a week to kind of dial in the Summerboard, how it feels to go from edge to edge. Even still to this day after a year, I get weird little like bumps or whatever, and I like jump off of it and I gotta figure it out. Now the footholds on the Summerboard actually also work as well. You would think that your foot is gonna be like way too secure or not secure enough, and there's like the perfect medium of like you're secured and locked into this thing, but also you could jump off and bail whenever you need to, so you're not trapped on this machine and getting like tossed around. Now I do wish the foam padding on the bindings lasted a little better. Once again, I am so mean to mine, but I got this nice little Gorilla duct tape that I just put over my damaged spots, and it does just fine. I tore these things up immediately, but they do help and you are gonna want them. It adds that cushion to your feet for sure. On the note of being tossed around, one thing I wish the Summerboard had or was a lot lighter. This thing is got a lot of weight to it. She's not light. I don't even know how heavy it actually is. Whenever I'm cruising and I run into an obstacle like stairs and I gotta jump off and pick this thing up, I'm always a little bummed. Obviously curves and small things, you just pop up really quick. Lugging it around because it's so heavy is like the only downside to it being a daily commuter or traveling around. Now you totally can do that, and I have done awesome mountain trails or gone from one city to the other rocking a Summerboard, because it can go 12 miles and up to 28 miles per hour, which is insane on one battery, and you can get multiple batteries and swap them out, which is super nice. But the weight and the battery keep me from wanting to take this thing on to the airport. And now I have had a friend that says he flies with his Summerboard, which once again, the weight alone makes me like, I don't know if I want to take this thing on a plane. But two, if you do, I hear you got to remove the battery when you go through security, because and then you're just like, oh, it's not even plugged in. I just have the battery and have this, and then they'll let you fly with it, I hear. But if it was a little lighter, it'd be nice, but I get it. There's a lot of hardware going on in here. I get why it's heavy, and this battery is it's a big boy. Now the one piece of equipment on the Summerboard that you will have to replace, and I'm about there after a whole year, is the wheels. I think I can flop them around one more time and get a little bit more life out of these wheels, but the wheels do get worn down. I mean, you're literally power sliding and sliding sideways and stopping and doing all that type of stuff with the wheels, so they will wear down, but that's like a little replacement that you got to do every once in a while. And Summerboard sells the wheels on their website, as well as all the tools and stuff to interchange or fix or replace parts on here. One thing that I absolutely do love about the Summerboard is how much of a tank this thing is. I have literally smashed the crap out of it. I've broken pieces, and it is still put together. The deck is still put together. It doesn't look the prettiest, but it is so tough. 1 full year of me taking it into skate parks and ramming against stuff. The only pieces I've had to replace are a couple belts and the motors, but that's once again from me trying to learn things and breaking them, but they're all replaceable parts, which is rad. Like the trucks, the board, the bindings, all of that is still the original part, which is super sick. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, I have taken some slams on the Summerboard, specifically 2 that rocked me a little bit. One, I got a weird wobble or whatever, and I just had a bad dismount off the Summerboard. Huge tumble. The other one is I was trying to learn presses in a skate park, and I twisted my ankle. Now that was more of a shoe issue than the Summerboard issue, but it happened, and I was super sad and bummed about that. But like any action sport, snowboarding, skateboarding, whatever you're doing, the chances of getting hurt, the opportunity to get hurt exist. But honestly, the progression I had and everything I've done, the falls or getting hurt, has been so limited to like other sports that I've tried or I tried to get good at. Especially if you're just using this as your daily commuter, your travel here and there, riding trails, seeing beautiful views. This thing, you don't got to worry about getting absolutely wrecked on, stuff like that. It's when you're coming into these skate parks trying to hit rails, things like that, is when the opportunity to get a little tossed presents itself. Now, when it comes to commuting from one city to the other, I actually find this thing super comfortable because you can ride this just the center wheels. You don't have to constantly constantly always be taking turns. The more you ride the Summerboard, the more comfortable you're gonna be with what we call center balancing, where you're riding just the center wheels and kind of not touching your two side wheels. And then if you need to slow down or stop or make a turn, you can then engage the wheels, the edge, and you know, rip like that. Now, I highly encourage someone that loves the sport of snowboarding to snag the Summerboard, because I think this is legitimately the street snowboard. One, you don't need hills, which is super rad. You can ride it anywhere, flat, not flat, you're gonna be able to rip this thing. Two, it rides just like a snowboard. You literally go from toe side edge to heel side edge, ripping turns just like you would with a snowboard. I call this thing the street snowboard for a reason. It turns pavement into a groomer. It is a lot of back foot ruddering motion, but you do that a ton when you're snowboarding, and it helps you build your leg muscles and everything going into the snowboard season, or if you've got a snowboard trip coming up. It's a great way to get in shape for snowboarding, and with a little bit of weight when you start jumping it too, it's gonna really make your snowboard feel pretty light when you're doing busting ollies and things like that. Now, when it comes to the binding option, I highly recommend that the actual bindings opposed to the foamies. They're okay, but if I was gonna go foamies versus this, I would just go no binding or the bindings. Like the foamies, I didn't really feel like they added any level of increase to me, but that's a personal preference. Anyone could rock any binding that they want to rock. I also put little grind sliders here. I'm modded up. I wanted to learn board slides this summer, which is going to be year 2 of having the Summerboard, and I'm super hyped on it. The controller is actually super comfortable. I have had where it's probably more of a me thing, where I get scared and I overly lock in the acceleration, and then the board's just going, and then I gotta like jump off, pull the handle thing back. But other than that, makes total sense. There is a brake, but there's no need to brake because you use the wheels to brake your Summerboard, so you don't need to be using the brake unless you like jump off and the board's still going. That's the only time I'll use the brake. You will burn your belts out if you are using the brake of the Summerboard to be stopping instead of using the edges or the wheels to stop your Summerboard. But if you lose your remote, which I have done, you can also use the Summerboard app to repair the new controller with your Summerboard, but also you can adjust the brake power, the acceleration, all kinds of rad stuff on the Summerboard app. Make sure you're checking that out as well. The fact that the remote tells you how much battery life you have left is so nice when you're doing a street mission or going a long distance. You know, like, ooh, I need to pull over and plug this thing in, or I need to swap out the battery. And then if you can go downhill, you're not going to be actually using any of the battery, just ripping down a hill. So if you start your mission going down, you actually can go even further than if you're going up hills and things like that. And as for the battery, I have only had this thing die on me one time, and I was riding up and down in the mountains doing a huge trail and everything like that. And the battery life of the controller is actually really good. It will outlast the Summerboard like 2 or 3 charges. I tend to just charge them both at the same time, so I don't have to worry about it, because nothing would be worse than having a fully charged board and not a fully charged remote. Like, I would be really sad about that. Hello.
I miss you.
I miss you. If you want to snag one of these, you can use code JB100, save $100 off the Summerboard. I highly encourage it. Give it a shot, test it out, drop some comments if you have any more questions on the Summerboard. I hope this video helps you, and as always, thanks for watching. Keep evolving. We'll see you guys tomorrow in another video. It's daily on channel. We do stuff like this.